Hello, hello. I am Mr. J, Coach J, Practitioner J. You can call me anything you like, just don't call me late for dinner. But speaking of corny dad jokes, I always like to start my classes with one. And so here is today's. What do you call a laughing motorcycle? You call a laughing motorcycle a Yamaha ha 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 ha. Ba-dum-bum. If you could take two deep peeling breaths with me, one in through the nose, out through the mouth, preferably with your eyes closed, but however you feel most comfortable. And one more time. Right. So today we're just going to be talking briefly about how to talk to your partner when you need help. Now we're talking more specifically, both of you guys getting on the same page with speaking to a professional. But really, this could apply to anything. You need help with dishes, what have you. So what do you do when your house is on fire? Do you sit around and hope that the flames go out on their own? No, of course not. You probably would call 911, you'd run into the flames, you'd save anything and everything you can and that you care about. You would especially run into the flames if somebody that you loved was trapped inside. So dealing with infidelity in your relationship or marriage is very complex, as we all know. But yet it's similar to the house being on fire. However, so many people sit around and sit on their hands and hope that everything goes away, especially for the person who stepped out of the relationship. I feel and get and experience a lot of clients are like, if I just don't bring it up, if I don't talk about it, it'll go away. That's harmful and hurtful. And actually it's destructive as well. So it's not beneficial whatsoever. Even if you decide to end it all and start new, your heart and mind will not be the same. So healing must occur. So having this thought or mental process, I'm just not going to think about it, I'm not going to bring it up, is just not beneficial. And like I said, it's actually hurtful, harmful, and destructive. All right. So you might be thinking, okay, Coach Jay, you're talking common sense. What do I have to do now to convince my partner? Well, I'm just going to say a couple things. Number one, right off the bat, um, it, I don't want to say it's impossible, but the focus shouldn't be convincing your partner to get help. The focus should be they've convinced themselves the best option is to get help. And the reason being is because you want their heart and soul into getting this. You just don't want to drag them along and force them to talk to a professional. But number one, when talking to your partner about getting help, the key tips to include would be choosing a calm moment. That's number one. Using I statements to express your concerns. Active listening to their perspective. You might not like it, love it, agree with it, but they want to feel heard and acknowledged as well. Focus on specific examples. Make sure you're avoiding blame. Acknowledge their feelings and emphasize the positive impact of what seeking a professional can have on the relationship. And be clear of what type of struggle that you are in that you would like assistance or help with. And I'm going to actually break these down more slower. So number one, picking the right time. Obviously, don't bring up a topic when you're both stressed or angry. Find a private moment where you could have a calm conversation. When somebody just walks in the door from work or dealing with kids, or that's not the time to say, can we talk? Somebody's emotions are already at an 80 or 90%. You're just walking into the lion's den. Two, start with I statements because I say all the time, I is an invitation, you is an accusation. So you never do this, you always do that. Somebody's going to get defensive. Start with I. I feel I need this. What have you. Express your feelings and concerns using I statements to avoid sounding accusatory. Because, like I just said, I is an invitation, you is an accusation. Example, I feel worried when. I feel disrespected when. And it can be about dishes. I feel frustrated when you don't help me do the dishes after dinner. But it can start with, as opposed to, you never help me with doing the dishes. I feel frustrated when I'm alone doing the dishes. It will get you what you need and want and deserve. All right, be specific. So clearly state what behaviors or situations are prompting you to suggest seeking help and provide concrete examples. Focus on the positive. Explain how getting help is actually going to help your relationship, help your marriage. There's a lot of benefits to, to seeking professional help. A lot of people are against it for various reasons, but if you focus on the positives, that will help maybe alleviate some of their fears. Active listening. What does active listening mean? It means, don't be playing with your phone. It means giving eye contact, not rolling your eyes, not folding your arms, acknowledging what you heard, validating what you heard, maybe even repeating what you heard and saying, is that accurate before you give your response? So really active listening is essential. It's critical, to be honest with you. Avoid blame. Don't try to put all the responsibility on your partner. Frame the conversation as a shared concern. I would like us to grow together. That would be a framework, as opposed to, we need to talk to somebody because you're not doing this. Then what happens is your spouse feels like they're being led to the slaughter. It's like, oh my God, I'm gonna hear all about my wrongdoings. So no, as opposed to, we need to talk to somebody so we can learn how to communicate with one another better. That way you're, sharing in the goal of healing. Offer support. Let your partner know that you're there for them. You're willing to help them find the resources to make appointments. Do this together. Look at the coach or counselor and, hey, is their expertise, is their knowledge, is their experience, is their education what we need? Maybe even look at some videos if you can of them, because somebody might have the best experience, the best knowledge, the best intentions. You just don't get along with their personality, and that's going to have make a difference in your sessions. This could be a joint venture. And just be open to suggestions, be receptive to what your partner has to say, his or her ideas, their concerns. Some of the examples of what you can say, and of course you have to tailor these to how you and your partner talk, but something like, hey, honey, lately I've been feeling, really concerned about insert your specific situation, putting, um, putting dishes in the sink when we eat, whatever. And I think it might be helpful for us to talk to a professional together. Simple. Could be, I want to support you. And I think getting professional help could make a big difference in how we manage us cleaning up dinner after we eat together, whatever. Another example could be, when we eat and we don't clean up together, it makes me feel I'm not worthy and I'm not valued. I'm wondering if talking to a professional would help us navigate this better. So again, it's always an invitation that's going to get somebody to the table. Now, this is where this short class is going to get slightly dark, but sometimes it is what it is. If your partner is like some others who are not open to getting help, and you feel it would definitely be beneficial, you could always go from a request to a requirement. A requirement, however, is similar to a boundary. So you must first have them, and then you must enforce them. So you first have to have a requirement. I have a requirement that in order for us to grow, in order for us to move forward, in order for us to heal and merge together as a couple, I'm requiring we go to see a professional. But again, this is after you've exhausted and turned over all those other stones of, invitation and lovingness and all this other stuff. But like I said, so boundaries are like requirements. You have to have them. You have to have a requirement. And if boundaries aren't met, they have to have consequences. Now, consequences could be anything like a discussion. It could be, severe consequences would be staying in another bedroom. I don't like things like that because it starts to pull couples apart. But do what you feel you must do. As always, like I said, I say boundaries without consequences, or requirements without consequences, is just wishful thinking. So before you even have this conversation, you might want to say, okay, listen, I'm going to first go into this nice. I'm going to be consistently nice. I'm going to try this for a few days, a few weeks, a few months. Then if not, I'm going to go into requirements. But if those requirements don't work, what are my consequences for not those requirements? So make sure you don't go from 0 to 60. That's not going to help your relationship, your marriage. If this class applies to you and you're trying to, you're with a partner and you're trying to seek help. And always try to use techniques where if you're getting dysregulated, take a time out, take a pause, take a time away. Lastly, and this is the absolute last resort. I am not much for ultimatums. As a matter of fact, I think they're unhealthy. They're unhealthy in relationships. They are. But I do believe there is a purpose and a time for them. And I would rather a relationship or a marriage get saved by an ultimatum rather than a divorce occur without one. So an ultimatum would look like we either in the next month need to sit down and find a relationship together, a professional relationship counselor, therapist, coach, whatever, or I need to start making an exit plan. That would be like the last stone to turn after all the other ones. So, like I said, I'm not big on ultimatums. I think they're harmful and hurtful, and they're not productive. But as a last resort, they could save your marriage, save your relationship. So I hope you got something out of this short class. I thank you for taking the time to watch. And if you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to me.